You don't have an extra
Talk
pen,
about.
do you, Terry?
No, I
Like a
don't.
pen?
No, it's all right,
I can open, no,
no, I don't need a pen. Everything's down.
I've had one in the car, Kathy.
Oh,
It's.
Any news and updates from the tree people? What's new? Charles just said he got back from Texas. Where in Texas? We were in Texas recently?
No, no,
Oh,
no, I was talking to a guy that was in, he's from like the Texas plate.
Oh.
So I was like, this isn't Texas, is it? It's actually, get more snow there than we had. Yeah.
well, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, we're on a new year and, is this Zoom or is this?
Can we turn that off?
No, we can't because the
If
tenor.
you don't talk, it won't look at you.
You should see how much trouble I get in meetings at Maine Maritime because of that little.
It's gotta be.
I whisper and then I look up and I'm like, turn it on, guy.
It's insidious.
Well, it
I
translates.
didn't realize that it was, the town has to be able to, if they wanna,
I guess, but I heard it was more streaming on YouTube and Zoom was a special request or something like that.
oh,
But now it seems to be Zoom.
Oh, it's.
I don't put it on the agenda. I should ask about that. I used to, but then I was told I wasn't supposed to do that. So, well,
Put it on the agenda.
on the agenda about Zoom options and
options.
that kind of stuff. I used to do that, but I was told that was not appropriate.
So look, it's got, everything you say is appearing too, so that's going out also.
Oh, I don't know.
See that? What we're saying is
Mhm.
printed up there.
And I just recently learned, I got an Alexa for my birthday, which is kind of interesting. I use it from time to time. I usually say, Alexa, what's the temperature outside? Good
oh,
morning, Donald. The temperature in Castine is 15 degrees. The high for today will be.
yeah, and that has music too.
Huh?
That has
Oh, it
music,
does anything. you want.
yeah,
And it has a little light around the base of it that lights up when you say Alexa.
Yeah,
Blue light.
yeah,
Or if it's you look over and there's a yellow light, you go,
yeah,
Alexa, do you have something to say?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a notification from Amazon. Your ironing board has just been delivered.
What? All that stuff comes through.
My poor niece is named Alexa, unfortunately. Freshman in high school, so you guys know me well enough to see how I'm always going, Alexa, turn on the light, Alexa, turn on the.
Well, I was wondering if you could actually rename Alexa with some other, hey, Bozo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Something different.
You could.
No, I don't know how we got on that tangent. Yeah, but I've heard that the Alexa is always listening.
Yeah.
yes,
Always listening,
Yeah.
and Amazon or whoever is always hearing you.
See, yeah.
And if you start talking about, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have a new dishwasher?
Mhm.
This one isn't working
Yeah.
well, you suddenly start getting dishwasher ads.
Or if you do
Yeah.
YouTube, if you go onto YouTube, you'll see a bunch of, we were just talking about sharpening ice auger blades, which was the randomest subject in the world. Next time I looked on YouTube, it was how to sharpen ice auger blades, and I'm like.
Yeah. Talk about Big Brother watching.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
no,
It's
people have
really
said that they did not want one of those for that very reason,
Yeah.
because they were.
Cause they had a meth lab, so they didn't want anyone listening in on this.
No, but just if, you're talking to your husband about finances and, oh, we need to do this
Yeah.
or do that, or,
Yeah,
and then you mention somebody else's name. And it's out there.
yeah.
Well, we're going on vacation for the next 2 weeks, our house is gonna be wide open, you know what I mean?
Or I'm gonna drop a bomb on Washington DC.
Or-
I'll bet you they've got ways to fix something like that.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Bet they did.
Algorithms.
Yeah.
Did you see the news
I better
this
take,
morning?
I didn't mean it, but.
Did you see the news this morning in Washington? DC?
Oh, yeah, I heard it last
Oh.
night.
Oh, you did.
Um,
Not awful.
It's awful how that's something like that can happen.
I'm calling the meeting to order.
All right.
Everyone get the minutes?
Yep,
I'll make a motion to approve them.
second.
Thank you, all in favor? Aye.
Um,
We're gonna hear from Bill when he gets here. Financial update, here is the latest. And I don't have the sort of the breakdown from our, I could have added it up, everyone's donation that we.
Yeah.
But thanking us to it. I think we're in $13,000 range now for donations. I'm not exactly sure because in December. We sent out all of those letters. Right before Thanksgiving. And then in the December meeting, which was.
The 6th?
On the,
December 6th.
yeah,
Oh,
it was like 11,000 or so.
oh, excuse me.
Are we ahead of last year, Donna?
No, not quite. We'll see what else comes in.
Okay.
But we had a good response. I think we had over 100 by a few.
Yeah,
And the total that we sent out was 335 or 40.
oh, well,
So we got a third of a response, which I think is
pretty good.
pretty typical.
Hmm.
So our current preservation account, since we had some left over in December of 11,152, is 26,387. So we'll hopefully get 25,000 in May from the town, which takes effect July 1 for the new fiscal year. And we'll have over 50,000 in our little coffers for that year, for this coming year. And it isn't a heavy year as far as treatments go, but the year after that will be 30 trees or more, something like that. I know we have a few other trees to deal with, and we'll wait and talk about that when Bill is here. So we have 0 currently in our operating budget, which is what the town gives us through tax dollars. That was all spent, which is good because if we don't spend it, we lose it. And then the replanting is at 1,500. Speaking of replanting, remember we had a red oak. That was
Yes, what
instead of
happened
a
to
white
it?
oak.
It's probably
And the guy
frozen.
that delivered it kept telling me, but the tag says it's a red oak, and I say, but the leaves tell me it's not a red oak. Okay.
So we
So-
got reimbursed for that one, right? By the,
Karen did not pay the invoice.
oh,
She held it.
it's a little bit
And I
different.
talked to Buck down at the Plants Unlimited, and he said, don't worry about it, plant the tree anywhere, we'll do whatever you want with it. It's no big deal, we can deal with this
So did-
next year.
Did you find a place to plant it?
I found a place to put it, and it is in a grove of trees, it's strapped up, it's in its bucket. In a grove of trees next to my house,
Oh,
standing up among some spruce trees,
Oh.
buffeted by the
Oh.
winds. and-
oh, so you
You
planted
can
it.
plant it in the fall, in the spring, I mean.
Yeah, but I gotta find a place for it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad you found a temporary spot.
Yeah, it's okay, and it has buds on it, so I can get
Oh, good.
it'll bud out probably. And on that note, about replanting. Roxanne Cody wrote in the, the letter, I figured out. There's pretty lot of text, that she writes this note down here when she sends her check back in. So
And send it back to you.
Karen got the note, because she sent the check in with the note. And then Karen scanned it and sent me the copy of it. Basically, it was Roxanne saying that she wanted to discuss. Here is a small token for your. It's like $100, just fine. But she wants to talk more seriously about replanting.
Oh, God.
So let's talk about that in the spring, when you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause a lot of people have these ideas that they wanna see elm trees everywhere, and I always put that. I mentioned that in my letter that we don't wanna create another monoculture at the elm trees, we want a variety of species.
What does she have? Does she have any trees?
You know where they live, the Codys, down on
Oh,
Perkins?
yeah. But
No, they don't have any trees, their house is right smack up against the street, and they have a view of the harbor.
yeah,
and then maybe a locust tree.
Oh, they'd probably like to plant one, yeah, right over
I
next.
don't think they're talking about.
No, no, no.
stems.
Well, put one in there so that, Larry Rosen, it'll completely block his view.
You see the guy out across the street?
Diagonally across.
They can afford to plant their own.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And,
But I'd hope
We've
they'd
been-
approach us before they go planting any.
well, anything on the streetscape, so, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're trying to repopulate along the lower part of Court Street and. Carl and his guys, that photo was hysterical, by the way. Planted the, what did we plant? We planted a, what was it? Think of it in a minute, along the edge of the Ritchie Field area on the, near the corner of, Pleasant.
Oh, on the
Court.
academy.
So I'm thinking we should continue along there if we can, if there's a couple more of this.
Yeah, definitely from the corner down, you could come down a little bit, maybe we got a gate there, we can't block that, but
Where is the gate?
oh, about halfway between there and the ground shaft.
Yeah, right in there, yeah, that's where your equipment comes in.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. It's very well disguised.
No, it does, it blends in really good.
Okay, yeah. So we'll deal with replanting when that time comes. We need to vote on what we ask the town to put in the warrant for town meeting, for how much we want town's taxpayers to give to the Elm committee. And we've been doing 25,000 for the last few years, and I think I'm comfortable asking for the same amount this year. Which will go into effect July 1, 25 to June 30, 26.
Sounds good.
Do I hear a motion to approve the request for $25,000 in the
Yes.
town warrant for?
Second. Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Done. Just asking for money. Had a planning the planning grant and woodwise woodlot grant that kind of submitted with her grant writing expertise, and we got $20,000. And we have a group of people that are being paid to develop a story about Castine.
A story?
A story about woodlots in Castine, and there's data that the academy has, and that I don't have it, I can bring it with me. A aerial company that does these surveys with LiDAR instrumentation, develops topographies and areas where trees are certain species maybe, and the heights of them. When you look at Castine, all the tall, really tall elm trees are purple blotches where they are, because they're taller than all the other trees.
So who's paying them to do it?
The grant money will pay that, the state.
And the purpose of it is?
Planning and education. So we've identified some plots around where the assessment of the forest will be made, what's in there, are there invasives, what could be done to improve the health of the forest. Teach kids about all this stuff. Have it nearby, maybe behind the Wilson Museum, even though that isn't an appropriate location for reforesting. Because it's so wet, it's just a crappy area, but there's a lot of invasives there. And then the other place is right at the foot of Wilson. Here we go.
Oh, where's Bill?
Hey, really?
Good morning.
Why are we all on
There's
this
an
side?
agenda floating around here somewhere.
No, Yep.
So a report is gradually going to be pulled together. We have a you probably know him, Kevin Alcroft.
I do.
Yeah, he's with us on that. A guy named J.W. Harriman. He's from the Blue Hill Heritage Trust. He's
Heard
a
that name.
forester. Another fellow, Caleb Jackson, who is the Mancos Heritage Trust guy for this region. He's a stand-in for Tatia Bauer, who was the steward of this, of the woods and places around here. And other locations, but she's moved on to something else, so he was here at the meeting, and then there's another, it's the head of the Blue Hill Heritage Trust, a guy named. So we've got several people with expertise who each have a role in writing parts of this package that we then submit to the state. And dutifully produce what we are expected to for our planning and education grant. And they pay the fees to the parties that have their, in their invoices. And the role that we as a committee have in this really is for, not so much for the woodlot stuff, because that's out of, it's out of my wheelhouse and not something we deal with right now. But it will be for streetscape and replanting. And Bill and I have been chatting about it, not in great detail, but we've got to come up with a little history of our elm trees and the streetscape in Castine and what our objectives are, how we want to accomplish them, yada, yada, yada. So we've got to come together and produce something that meets the requirements of the grant. We've got plenty of time because that wraps up in like July or August or something. And we're like a little caboose on this bigger woodland.
On that note, on my, I know Forrester, I think I introduced him to you, David Irvin, and I think he might have been contacted about this, and I just talked to him about something unrelated yesterday, and he said he wasn't gonna, participate in this
Yeah.
thing, he appreciated the opportunity, but he said we are in really good hands with, he knows that, Kevin Allen,
Yeah.
and he said Alcroft, he said we're in real good hands.
He's really good.
He
Very, very
apologized for not
Yeah,
putting a bid
we
for it,
have
but
a
he said.
struggle
it's really good.
reaching, David.
Yep.
Reported.
But he did reach out to me to say that.
Yeah.
We're in good hands.
So, yeah, we're in good hands, and Ina's the sort of the ringleader of the talks we just had one yesterday. So it's all coming together. So more on that later. And if you have any good ideas on books or professional journals on urban treescape and that kind of stuff,
There's stuff
we can
out
tap
there.
into.
Yeah, I get a bunch of that stuff, but it's a moving target.
Yeah, I know.
So it's,
But just basic approaches to it. Well, if you think about it. I mean, it's all, here it's a struggle as I see it. Of where to plant. Where the people that live there are gonna go, yeah, sure. Or not in my front yard, I don't want to mow or weed whack around it, I like my view, or you get all that kind of stuff. And species selection, because of all these diseases that are happening now, you gotta be careful what we select. Tupelo tree was on the planet. That Ricky field with black gum. We'll see how she does. She's a young'un, pretty, not the biggest. But it should be beautiful if it survives and grows.
Dogs can't get to
Yeah. So if anyone is, I've got my little library of trees and tree books and so forth, so I'm cuts through that, but if anyone comes across any interesting stories in the news or whatever, that would pertain to, urban forestry, streetscape, diseases coming into Maine, whatever they may be, let me know. Sort of participate in that idea, and if you can, as you're driving around, just identify locations, and you think, oh, maybe that'll be a good spot for a tree. I mean, what we really are looking for is beauty and shade.
Main Street is pretty sparse. Upper Main.
Upper Main, well, I think in front of the Galtieris, that whole stretch there by Paul Mann's or the oak.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Man's down, he has a pin oak in his yard still though. But from where the big oak used to be down to, the next White House.
Blystone is
Blystone.
the next one with the tree,
Yeah.
which is that's pretty rough, but it's still standing.
Is it a
Red Lake.
ribbon? Yeah.
Yep.
So that stretch could use some trees, and I've never liked the red. I think they're Norway maple on the Van Horn property there. Opposite Del Davis's house.
They don't really reproduce though.
Huh?
They don't reproduce.
No. They just- Lower Main, there's young trees down there now. The only place I could see planting one tree might be next to Bonnie Politano's store. Between the driveway and her store right there. That's not the only place I could think of,
But things are pretty tight.
but then it's very tight there,
Yeah.
yeah.
There used to be two huge elms on Parrish's. property.
Yeah, well, they have a new one there.
They planted a new one, didn't they? Is
Well,
that an
it's
elm?
got a, yeah, it's got a caliber, I don't know. Something like that, maybe. And it lost a big limb storm. Which was good because it needed to. Actually, it was a goofy limb coming out. The wrong place on the tree. So anyway, my point being that we should be all thinking about where to plant. If you're driving around in the village. Where we could improve. The streetscape, but it's not a big area that we're dealing with here. is it?
Christian Walker said some time ago, when the tree came down, when they were doing the road, on Main Street. There was a tree on his grandmother's property. And they took that down. And he would like to see another elm there,
Elm,
elm, yeah,
oh,
elm, yeah,
no.
no. Oh,
We've been talking about that for quite a while, and we don't
Well, he
want
was
to
gonna-
recreate another.
he was going to
monoculture.
pay for it.
Well, I don't care if he pays for it or not. I mean, Charlie King wanted elms on his front yard, and he got, Larry Maxim to buy 3 very nice Princeton elms. Boom, 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 and they went, and I was kind of like, ooh. But if my feeling about it was, Charlie's getting on in years and it makes him happy. Fine,
Well, you take a risk.
fine.
You put a tree, it dies.
And if you wanted to pick a hybrid or a cultivar, that's a cultivar. Princeton's a pretty good one, I would say. Just in terms of-
Oh, yeah, he did, so you planted 3 of them, they'll probably keep.
Yeah.
At least one of them could be enough to fill the space.
So I just bought it at Maine Maritime where Bill just took down a bunch of elm trees. We had one little scrawny elm that's about 10 years old that's dead, but there's a plaque on it because Mass Maritime Academy kids got together and made a donation of that tree and the plaque for 2 kids that were killed in the car accident. There's no real specification that it has to be in that exact spot. But I would really like to just in their honor, if we could get another elm tree.
In the campus?
Yes, so I would like to move that around, but I don't wanna plant something that's gonna, create monoculture stuff, so maybe you can help me locate a spot where I could plant an elm tree again and reuse that plaque.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
or plant
I mean,
them there if
of
that's
course-
a bad spot or whatever, I
Is
don't
the
really.
plaque in the tree?
No, the plaque's on the ground, it's a
Oh.
granite plaque, so I could just,
Oh.
I could move that anyway,
Oh,
and they
of
could,
course.
and they could still do the same thing, that we still honor them. And I don't think anybody even knows about that plaque by me, but,
But not to try to be efficient or anything, but I think we planted an elm tree up by the sign. Up, just further up the lawn.
oh, so I could just move that. Yeah,
I mean, just,
no, that's a good idea.
it's easier to move the rock.
Yeah, no, exactly, so, and it's still doing what, and that
Right,
elm tree is still for them,
Slightly
so, yeah,
different.
I'll just move that plaque, great idea.
Where is that?
there's an elm, isn't there one right up by the sign?
I think so, I can't remember if we planted that though.
You took one down along that stretch a few years ago.
Yeah, I thought there was one planted there.
I'd have to,
We'll take a peek at that, but I'm pretty sure. I might have stuck it in the ground. but
Okay.
I don't,
okay,
I know I cut one out of there, long time ago. Just down slope from the granite sign.
Yeah.
They may well be one that take.
okay, I'll look into that.
If not, we put one and put a sign. Put flag to it.
So any other locations, identify, and I don't find it's easy really. And I know that a few years ago, Kimmer Galen wanted to pay for 3 ginkgo trees to be planted on the clinic semicircle. I thought. I wasn't thrilled with that idea.
But you don't like the tree?
Well, the tree is not an ecologically friendly tree.
No.
Birds don't like them, bugs don't like them. Marty gave me a book for Christmas called The Nature of Oaks. And it was a fascinating book mostly about insects and caterpillars. And how oak trees are this rich ecosystem for insects and caterpillars. And how all the leaf litter underneath is an essential part of that whole ecosystem. Oaks are probably among the most important forest ecosystem trees, just because of what they do for all the other critters around that to keep the balance of nature happy. Whereas the ginkgo is like a desert, there's nothing that likes to nest in it, or the bugs don't.
Right, which is why it lasts,
Huh?
which is why they last. Of course,
Yeah,
they're almost indestructible.
yeah, they're pretty, but they're not. They're pretty, they're ornamental, I guess what I should say. And I think 3 of them along there would be way too much, because they get pretty big and fluffy and. So sort of, come up shape.
Right, it'll be a while though,
Yeah.
because they get there
But
slow.
Still.
Yeah.
So Timber hasn't approached me since. Then. We got what happened. Relative to that, but there's a lot of piping underneath there too for drainage. Related to the stream and so forth, so it's a little more complicated than just blocking the stream. And there is an accolade. Almost. Japonica, I guess it's called, right at the right hand corner there that we planted when we bought. 5 accolades, the 3 of them are on the common opposite the UU church there. Do well. And there's one at the clinic and there's one on Dyer in Joe Slocum's garden, right on the streetscape there. Those are part of our replanting. Trees that are going away, because have gone away down at the foot of Dyer, we can get into that. Next.
Yeah.
The list. So there's maybe some spaces that are opening up.
There is a little bit of room now.
Yeah.
There will be, I mean, all around that corner, provided that on Dyer, it would be fine, up further up the corner, I guess it would, or further out on Water Street, it's whether anybody would want
Yeah.
a tree in the middle of the view.
Harry, you want a tree in front of your house? No.
In between the stones?
Yeah. So anyway, it's my pitch on trees right now, but feel free to just let me know when you drive around where you think there's a spot that might be good to fill. I know the corner, the Shears own the property. It's on the corner of Dresser and Perkins, and it's this big open
Hmm.
Oh, yeah,
place there.
the Shears on
The
it?
Shears own.
What are they gonna do with that? big
I
piece
thought
of
they
land?
sold it, no? It didn't sell?
I don't know. I didn't know it's on the market.
Well, it
Anyway,
was.
that's how I know the owner's.
But yeah, you're right, it's a
Maybe
big
it's something else,
open.
but they used to be big elms there and they came down in the microburst. They were like
Oh,
two or
Yes.
three big
Yeah.
ones that,
in the middle of the land?
on the speed,
Yeah,
streetscape.
right on the
Oh,
corner,
right on the corner.
yeah.
So that's an open space,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and sometimes an open space isn't a bad thing. You know,
Especially with a good looking house to admire.
so anyway, that's. And then out at the Wilson Museum, even though that's pretty far out of the village. I know the garden club has planted some trees there. So that's another open area.
when Ashton's other elm comes down, that's a spot,
Yeah, I mean, along there,
yeah.
but then again, we stump grind. But the stumps and roots are still in the ground. And how long does it take an elm root stump to disappear? 20 years?
Oh.
Yeah, I would think that would really be a problem.
No, you know, if you plant.
Oh, I don't know, we give it a year or something.
Yeah. Well, one of the Princeton's at Charlie King's is almost smack on top of. Where one of those big elms came down. I should ask, when I see Larry next, I'll ask him what the planting engineering for that particular tree would do.
It's awfully close to the house too, isn't it?
Now,
Yeah.
hey, again, if it makes Charlie happy.
Yeah.
He paid for it. So, Bill, how are we doing on our list?
We haven't done any pruning yet, we've done everything at Maine Maritime over Christmas.
Yeah, in the,
I have a contract with Dave, to grind all those stumps to, even the sprigs right here, or something, so.
with Dave?
Yep.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, he's got a couple more there too. Over it.
we are observing a tree number 309 on Charlie King's because it had a kind of a weak leafing out last spring, so we'll see how it goes this year. Not sure what's going on there. We have tree 146 at Dick Fenton's, which looked kind of like it was checking out last summer.
It did, yeah.
Check it out?
No,
No,
it did not, but it kind of looked that way for a
yeah.
while.
And a similar thing happened years ago to the tree at the top of Dyer Lane. On Winkler Moss property there. It kind of started losing leaves and looking bad.
The one up, the
You thought it was Verticillium.
British, yeah, that's,
Yeah, it was it Verticillium?
yep,
Yeah,
it-
and it came back and it was fine.
it's fine, it's in the soil and it's always there.
Yeah.
If if it's in the soil, it's
Is
in
it
the
a
soil.
fungus?
Yep. Yeah, it's really, it looks the same as Dutch elm
Yeah,
inside the tree, and it can kill the tree or not, but it was a problem one year.
yeah. And I think the same thing happened to Mark Fenton's, one of Mark Fenton's trees out on the Castine Road.
But which of those look pretty good.
And they look fine now, so.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta really either test or just wait and see. In some instances. Betsy Foot's tree at 189 Main on the Pidge River Driveway, the one that kind of got mangled during the Main Street work. Is looking weaker and weaker every year. The
Oh,
leafing out looks desperate,
Yeah,
for
it's
lack of a better word.
yeah, it sucked it out pretty well for a while, put the data stat on
Yeah.
it, but then I noticed a lot of sucking too.
Um, Oh, the corner of Pleasant and Court, and you know, when I drive around, this time of year, I look at these trees. And I don't have my binoculars with me, but I try to determine if there's buds there. They're budding.
Yeah.
And with that tree, I wasn't quite sure when I was.
No, it's been cold this year,
Yeah,
so you won't, you
but I
know,
mean, they set a bud in the.
they do, but is it, you know, every time it gets a little warmer, they get a
Bigger,
little bigger. And
yeah.
this, you know, last year you could see buds on everything. Well, it's been pretty cold this year.
So I've been looking at that tree and at the Fenton tree for bud formation, just to see if there's life there. We know about the hasty tree. Is that done? Have we? I have a note here, we need a bucket truck for that. Number 106, down on Perkins, next to the ravine there, opposite Pam Pollock's house.
Oh, what did you wanna do with it? What,
Well, I don't know, it's not clear. He thought it looked
I drove by,
compromised and might have been split or something.
well, it's got a crotch.
Huh?
It's got a crotch in it,
Yeah.
I guess I could observe the crotch more carefully. I didn't see, when I looked at it, I didn't see a real issue with it.
Okay.
But I window cruised it, I didn't walk around the backside of the car, so,
So I can at least report to him everything was okay.
yeah, I mean, we could take a closer look. Matter of fact, when I drove by, I was like, is this what I'm supposed to be looking at?
Yeah,
So I wasn't,
it's the one right before the ravine.
yeah, no, I know what you,
Well, of
exactly.
course,
It is, yeah,
and then there's the untagged one next to the old Brophy cottage. That's kind of. You have to sort of duck under it to go along the sidewalk there. And it does not have a tag and it has a conch or two on it. And it's to the left of the house there.
yeah, did not look at that.
Okay. Okay, Pete Musgrove, we had a little field meeting there and the trees that he wanted to see out of there so he could put his boat in gone.
Yep,
But then there was something you might wanna do with the uphill.
yeah, at least back, and maybe when I do the tree down at the bottom of that, you know, back in there and.
Yeah.
Put the boom up.
Can you get across that gulch?
I don't need to go next to the house. Do they do anything over there? Is there a road in there now, or is it just,
No,
you just cut the trees, right?
Yeah.
Last time I looked at it.
there was a series of arborvitae or cedar trees between the elm trees. David Lee's tree that's up in the driveway, was there any trimming yet?
No, there
Okay.
will be, when we get into,
Okay, and Barbara Cooper and the elm at the museum. Those are requested trimmings off the roof. Those are TBDs. There's the Castine tree at the foot of. Pleasant. Waiting for Chris Spiegel.
so I've talked to him a couple of times about it. I get some other stuff going with them also, and if I ever actually see him, talk.
Okay.
And if I don't, then
Is there any hazard there? Public hazard or
well,
private hazard or?
yes,
Yes,
yep, absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, their stuff is the closest to it, the power company. So it's the stuff that
Does it
leads,
go out over the road?
oh, right over the power line, it's
Oh,
right there right away,
okay,
and, but I'll, you know,
and they know about it. Chris knows about it.
well, yeah, but there's, looked at it, so. But I mentioned it more than once, and we were supposed to catch up.
Is there any need for physical documentation to Chris? I have Chris's business card, so I could just email him just so that
No,
nobody can say, we didn't know.
no, well, there are a million trees outside of town, and they're in just as bad a shape as that.
But are they over a house?
So, you know, I mean,
I just think about public safety sometimes about.
yeah,
What's the risk to the public that the,
A limb coming down on their car, wham, you know.
yeah, something folding over in the street,
Yeah.
which I think probably lands on the power line. You know. Would be my yes, but. You know, that's,
I mean, I love that tree, but if it's a hazard,
it's kind of a nice tree,
yeah,
you know, we had that one waiter come off of it. It
Yeah.
just hung there.
and you call that, what's it, when it rotates?
Oh, it was just a sheer plane
Shear plane?
cracking, yeah, I mean, it went all the way.
Yeah.
But so that, I got up and they took that off, and I looked at some of the other stuff, because I hadn't been in this thing 10 years, and I said, well, this is nice. There's a cable that holds it up, but, no idea what it's into.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's, but it would really, it should be theirs to deal with if
yeah, if it's at all.
it's right in there. In there right away, but if I get them in on the other job, that. We just, matter of fact, we were talking about it yesterday,
The other job being,
no, it's in Oregon,
oh,
you know, I will. Hijack somebody and we'll come down, and look at that.
okay, good.
If we can get on the right over the same. Is that, you know, that, let's say we're gonna remove it, no, that's a crane thing, just out over the house, and
Yeah.
then you can't use crane, it's too power.
Yeah.
So,
It's almost like.
yeah, it's right out
Deal
over,
with it?
I mean, it's right out over. Everything down. You know, in that is clearly theirs, or a lot of it.
Mhm. Okay. We have one more tree, did you test tree 289? At the foot of Dial Lane there, the last.
I did not check that one, no, it's
Clearly.
clearly done, yep,
Yeah. And you were planning to remove that one, correct?
yep, we'll pop that right out of there, so
Okay.
it's almost impossible for that not to have Dutch elm.
Yeah.
To the other,
Because the one next to it.
Yep. I noticed by the end of summer, it was pretty well done.
There's one across the street too, beautiful, and
We treat that one.
you treat them,
Up on the bank,
yeah,
yep. Yep,
and that's not sick from the other two across the street that got.
I would think that it wouldn't be just because of, you know, it'd have to have roots that grow all the way down off the bank, under the road.
Yeah.
Through everything under the road and to the other side, I would think that it would, but who knows, but probably.
The one I see from my kitchen window, so. Plus the Afton trees I see too.
No, that one up on the bank, we've always treated that. That'll probably be this year. This is the round.
We have another, what, in the teens, high teens of numbers of trees to treat this.
Yeah,
Next year is the big one with the 30 or so.
right, yeah,
So, and then there's the one behind the clinic, and I did. Mail Bobby Bott notification about it. And I mentioned it to him personally. Have you heard from him at all?
no,
Okay, but you know the tree.
yes,
I will speak to him. And then the other thing I wanted to, and we've talked before about this, is that I kind of like the elms that are opposite Tony Politano's house on the street. One right on the street, a couple more down further than the yard, and I don't remember the owner. That property. The little house that's right down next to the Eaton's boatyard, it's that.
Isn't that the boatyard property?
No, it's a private home. Below the road. But I would like to add that tree into the mix of treated trees, or both of them.
right, if they're right close together,
Yeah.
either
Both.
both or not, yeah.
Yeah. Cause they're nice, I was hoping we would get to the Ashton trees and add them to the mix, cause they were nice right on the corner there, but next thing we know, boom. They're sick. Ugh. I'm trying to. My thinking is to try to stay ahead of the disease as much as we can here. Well, there's three numbers there, and we can go look at them. 280, 281, and 282 are listed, and whether they're all there or not, I don't know. There's at least two. 282, 81, 282. And those are the only ones that I can think of that are streetscape that are now big enough to kind of want to protect and do that in. Even though it's a tough place to work. Once
Yeah, we
you
could-
drive in down into. the
Yeah,
park,
we probably, I mean, the driveway goes right to
they're
a
like
couple
flat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think two of them down over the bank and one up by the
Yeah.
road.
So I'd like to consider that. Um. That's our list, that's our working list here. And I wanted to ask about back last. Earlier last year, I think you cut down a lot of trees on Pleasant Street. That were MMA, quote, quote, MMA trees, I think, I don't know who paid for them, whether MMA paid for them, or whether the town paid for them, but they were the ones that
We did a couple.
and I never got the numbers on those.
So one of them was, down by, I forget which house, the one house up from the football field entrance.
Yeah, the Navy, ROTC house.
Yeah, I think,
This was last spring.
right, there was one there and then there was one up by, up by.
You got a limb across the road too, there was something you had to come in for a day, like people were worried about in the middle of the night there one time too.
Yes, yep, and then there was one that had some storm damage that we didn't take down, it was up by public safety. But we got the storm damage out of it, and then, we did, one up on top of the hill by the courtyard or whatever you,
Took down,
yep, that
up
was,
by the,
It was on the other side of the road though, right?
one on the campus side, the inside campus side,
Right.
one on the
Outside.
opposite side. So there was one right across the road. Each other.
so those numbers I don't have, I think it's all about
Oh, I've got,
perhaps. Yeah, you can feed that to me, and I don't think we invoiced MMA or invoiced the town. I don't-
no, that would have been MMA because they were.
Yeah.
On the,
Yeah, I think we did the trees and then Elm Tree Committee paid for the stump grinding.
Yeah, right. So that's how I miss out on trying to keep track of what we're losing here. Because I've gone into the database, we have that Henry Jackson spiffed up, for lack of a better term. He created a real functional database that's very comprehensive. And you can click on a number of a tree on the list and boom, up comes the trees page. You can type in what you did and put a little commentary and whatever.
yes, I'll get
It's
you.
a really good, it's a very useful tool, and it has some reporting, some summaries, you can print out an entire report about years and trees that were removed and trees that were treated for each year, so you can, it's a very comprehensive summary of what we've got going here, and I don't wanna have the activity that we're involved in trying to keep our elms on the streets, lost, because we miss a few.
Yeah, there are actually three. One by the walkway with the pear trees on it.
Okay, yeah.
Just above the walkway,
Yeah.
there was one.
So if I can find out what those are, that would be helpful. There's a couple of, I noticed, your invoices to Karen say remove 2 trees, but the numbers aren't in the invoice. So,
Yep,
the numbers,
but we've got that, so.
I want to dig deep. So we have at least when we finish our report to the state on our streetscape, we want to have an accurate head count. People say, how many elm trees do you have in town? And I go, oh, well. You know, I'm not quite sure the exact number, but the thing about the database that reporting that Henry did was when a tree is removed, and I've done this for several that I know have been removed, You put in, you click a button that says remove, and it goes into a separate database that you don't see on the front page, but you, up in the top, you can click a little menu. Go removed, and boom, it lists all these trees, and they're all printed in red, and they have little lines to the numbers. And it gives a summary of how many trees there are, and we've got 220 removed trees, and we've got 250 living trees, something like that. So it's like this, the total population here is kind of divided into two.
Right,
You know,
plus small trees.
Yeah,
That are
they're all tagged. They're all.
Right, no, I know,
Yeah.
no. Right, but there's plenty of them.
So it's a very, it's a very useful database, and anyone can see it. You can go in and look at it and play with it. You just can't change anything. But it's called castinetrees.org. And just play with it. It's fun. It's really interesting to see all the reporting that he built into the functionality, and that's called like the front end of the database. The back end is just raw data, just columns and rows kind of stuff, which is not very interesting, but the front end is very. So I'm just trying to keep that up to date. Now, CastineTrees.org. Just check it out.
I did,
Did you look into it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I looked at it.
I like those sorts of things.
It was nice of him to do all that work.
But
It was nice of Henry to do all that work.
yeah, and he actually updated it to up to 2022, all the stuff up to 2022 is in there. And then I've updated it for 23 and 24. Updated the stacks of trees and the ones that were treated and removed or whatever.
So why can't the elm on the Ashton property be saved?
It has.
Like Betsy Foots, you were trying to save her.
Well, that doesn't have disease. That was
Oh.
damaged by the construction crews when they were doing Main Street excavation.
Okay.
And they cut through a major.
So that doesn't happen,
No,
but the Dyer Lane tree has it and there's
Yeah.
no way to,
it's systemic. It's through the whole tree. Sometimes, we try to do this with the green tree over here on the corner of Pleasant and Court.
yeah,
The biggest tree in Castine, and it was listed as Big Trees of Maine as the biggest elm at one time.
wow.
Because it had a DBH of 64.5.
Oh.
That's huge. And Bill pruned that, we could see flagging on all the big leaders, he pruned that out. But
Didn't come back.
the disease was already further into the tree.
Yeah, we would have taken half the tree down, maybe.
Yeah.
But then we treated it and we got that going for a couple of years, but
What's working?
it wasn't gonna make it, so.
It's a crapshoot. And I will say that, all his town reports that I looked at,
They took all.
that Al Baggett was involved, he was tree warden. It doesn't talk about Alamo or Arbutech, because that product became available in the aughts, right, the early aughts.
Yeah,
Arbutech like became available in 2005 or I don't know, 2000, later than that.
maybe a little earlier.
Earlier, but not back in the 80s.
No,
In the 90s. And all of his reports are about pruning. We did more pruning here and more pruning there. And that's all they could do is pruning. They didn't do treating back then,
well, some of them were treated with some experimental.
experimental stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which worked
Really,
to some degree, yep. One of the trees that we took down for you had been treated years ago. Found that, it was in the stump. Buried
what was?
30 years ago. the marks from
You can
three,
see it.
yep. I saved, I wouldn't,
Oh, it'd be
I
fast.
saved the notch, cause it's got the, but only one. But one had definitely been worked on, the one by the bell.
Yep.
Had been worked on at one time, a long time ago. What the heck is this funny drain here? I looked at it, I saw it.
Was it a necrotic area in the?
No, it's in it leaves, there's a fair bit of scarring every time we treat one.
Yeah. They heal up, you think?
Some, yep, the vigorous ones do, and the not vigorous ones don't. However, what I did notice on that is that the tree was good up until last year. But the growth rates were like half, post treatment, the last 30 years it grew that much. Before that, it grew, you know, I think it was good.
That particular tree?
Yeah, that tree did not put much growth on post treatment. Just kind of funny, just sort of, there was like, probably why it was treated, maybe it had Dutch elm or something, but it was going and it was treated 2 times, I believe, by the looks of the mark, and it slowed down.
Wow.
Just kind of a funny, you can kind of see it.
But it ultimately got Dutch elm disease
Yeah.
later on. That's kidding, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I just saved the notch I cut out, which,
Yeah.
yeah, it's small. But still sitting up on the bucket truck.
Great. And thinking about that, I wanna find out from Johanna and Hans Carlson, I know that that cookie from the green tree is all cured and in the Blue Hill Heritage Trust somewhere. And I was hoping we could find a place to display it here in town for education purposes. Because we have the mapping of the years that were done by Wason, what's his name, the professor up at UMaine. We sent him a skinny cookie and he looked at that, but it shows the tree was he estimates it at 167 years old. I'm thinking like in the visitor center or somewhere to have a
Yeah,
chunk of an elm like that,
that would be nice.
or with a little story behind. This is the year of the World War, the Civil War. This is the year.
So how big is this cookie? Like,
Hmm?
how big is it?
How big is it? It's
Like the diameter?
here, it's like a,
Oh,
The big
it's
circles,
like a
yeah.
semicircle.
Yeah, it was kind of a wedge, just a
Yeah.
piece of pie, it was not the
Yeah.
whole,
Not the
the
whole.
whole
It was-
cookie.
And it's this thick, it was really heavy, it's from here to here,
Wow.
and it's curved where the bark is, and it's straight where the cut through the tree was, and it's this thick. And I have photos of that whole operation, the cutting of the tree and stuff. And before the tree stump got ground down, I took a sheet, a big white sheet, and put it over the stump. And went around with a black magic marker around, and I just felt my way around the entire edge of the tree where the bark edge was the live edge. So I have a big pattern of that stump that could serve as a thing on a wall. Here's the cookie right in front of you, but there's the rest of the stump going around the tree, you know, on the wall, something like that. So it could be an interesting display somewhere. The only place I can think of right now is the visitor center. That's a little project I think I'm gonna work on this summer. Put some photos of Bill with his, how long, 40+ inch blade.
Yeah, cutting through some really dirty wood. Yep.
Right. Yeah. All right, is there anything else anyone wants to bring up? We are at exactly 10 o'clock.
I want to ask Bill something. When you deal with a elm tree, Dutch elm tree, do you have to sterilize your blade somehow?
If we are, depends on what we're doing, if I'm just doing takedown work, no.
No,
But if I'm working on any other trees in town, or if I'm taking samples, we keep a bucket of like water or bleach right on the back of the truck. It's probably frozen now, but we keep one there all the time with a rag in it, and we come down, sterilize the bars,
Oh, nice.
just, or run the saw in the bucket, and, we just do that, just to be on the safe side.
Good question.
Is that a good idea when I'm at home from an apple trees, different trees too, just when you switch from one tree to another, just to
I don't,
click the perimeters?
you'd really have to have a specific thing that you were paranoid about.
Yep.
I guess I could find more out about the apple. I used to prune for an orchard at one time. We never did that. But I know there's more stuff now than there was.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it wouldn't take that much longer to have a little thing with you if you're out in your own yard doing that.
Yeah,
It's gonna help.
30% bleach.
Yeah.
And then you gotta oil your stuff, that makes steel rust
Oh, I bet.
if you don't get it off of there.
Oh,
Bleach this.
Yeah, that bleach and water solution, if you put something away, it'll be all nasty.
so you have to wipe it off very carefully?
Yeah, or just oil, yeah, or use it or whatever,
Or you,
but it does make things rust up there.
Okay, anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second,
All in favor? Aye. Our next meeting is Feb 28th.
What?
Feb 28th, which is a Friday.
February 28th. Oh, I wonder if I'll make it. Oh, yeah,
When is your surgery?
the 25th.
Oh, no, no.
I'll make it.
No, I wouldn't.
You're having
think so.
back
You can
surgery?
zoom. You can zoom.
You're
I
having-
can't zoom.
Yeah. Well, Terry, good luck.
Yeah, good luck to you too. Yours is.
You know, I was down there on Wednesday, the day, took the coach down and back and talked to the assistant. I said, how long was the meeting take? I'm getting a new kid. Oh, just about an hour. Like an hour? Oh, yeah, he's getting good. Very good, and the anesthesia is propofol, and I'm not put on.
Propofol, that's all?
Yeah, and a spinal tap.
Oh, spinal.
So it's both. And I don't have a, you know,
Yeah, you're lucky.
none of that. It's almost like. It's day surgery, really.
Not having it done in Bangor.
I'm having it done at Mass General.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
My cohort of physicians are doing this.
Yep.
Thank you, Bill.
Is that a wonderful day?
Right.